Dr. Alan Wright sat at his desk, eyes fixed on the data streaming across his screen. For 10 years, he had led the Galactic Initiative program, searching for signs of intelligent life beyond Earth. Today, something different appeared in the readings. "That can't be right," he muttered, adjusting his glasses. The energy signature pulsed with an unmistakable pattern. Artificial, not natural. He called his assistant. "Keith, come look at this." Keith Miller hurried over, his coffee sloshing dangerously close to the rim of his mug. He set it down and leaned in to examine the screen. "It's coming from Andromeda," Alan explained. "The pattern repeats exactly every 42 seconds. Keith's eyes widened. "No natural phenomenon does that." "Exactly." Within hours, the entire research team gathered in the main lab. Screens displayed the strange energy signature from multiple angles. The excitement in the room was palpable. This could be the discovery of the century. Dr. Susan Porter, the team's astrophysicist, pointed to a particular section of data. "The energy output is massive. Whatever made this has technology far beyond our own." "But is it a message?" asked Keith, "or something else entirely?" Before Alan could respond, the lab doors slid open. A woman in a crisp military uniform entered, flanked by 2 armed guards. The room fell silent. "Captain Olivia Bennett, United States Space Command," she announced. Her gaze swept the room before settling on Alan. "Dr. Wright, we need to talk." Alan led her to his office. The door had barely closed when Captain Bennett spoke. "That signal you discovered, we've seen it before." Alan's heart raced. "What do you mean?" She placed a data drive on his desk. "This is classified beyond top secret. I need your expertise, but what I'm about to show you doesn't leave this room." The screen on Alan's wall lit up with images of star systems he didn't recognize. 3 different regions, each with a similar energy signature to the one his team had just detected. "These were recorded over the past 15 years, explained Bennett. "Each signature appeared approximately 6 months before these star systems went dark." "Dark?" Alan asked, though he feared he understood. "Completely. One day, normal communications and energy readings. The next, nothing. As if someone turned off the lights." Alan slumped in his chair. "You think whatever caused this is headed toward us? That's what we need you to help us determine." She tapped the screen, bringing up a timeline. "If the pattern holds, we have less than 6 months." Alan's mind raced. "My team needs to see this." Captain Bennett hesitated, then nodded. "Only your core team, Dr. Wright." When they gathered again, the mood had transformed from excitement to dread. Susan's face paled as she studied the new data. "It's the same signature," she confirmed, and looking at the progression between systems, she swallowed hard. "It's deliberate. These aren't random events. Someone, or something, is systematically eliminating potential rivals," Keith said quietly. "But why?" asked Dr. Maya Johnson, their exobiologist. "What threat could these systems have posed?" Captain Bennett's voice was grim. Perhaps simply existing was enough. Alan stood up, determination replacing his initial shock. "We need to know more about what we're facing. If this is a civilization capable of destroying entire star systems, we need to understand their technology, their motivations, and how to stop them," added Bennett. The team worked through the night, analyzing every aspect of the energy signature. By morning, they had confirmed their worst fears. The pattern was approaching the Milky Way, and Earth lay directly in its path. As dawn broke, Alan stared out the window at the unsuspecting world. Soon, everything would change. Humanity had searched the stars for so long, hoping to find they weren't alone. Now they had their answer, and it terrified them. The massive alien vessel appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's long-range sensors showed empty space beyond Jupiter. The next, a ship larger than Manhattan had materialized. World leaders gathered in emergency session as panic spread across the globe. Military forces went on high alert, but everyone knew Earth's weapons would be useless against visitors who could cross galaxies. Commander John Reeves stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, humanity's most advanced spaceship. Though impressive by Earth standards, he knew it would appear primitive to the aliens waiting ahead. Final checks complete, Commander, reported his pilot, Lieutenant Eric Grant. We're ready to approach. John nodded, his face betraying none of his fear. Take us in, Lieutenant. Slow and steady. The Horizon's diplomatic team consisted of 12 specialists, each chosen for their expertise. Communications specialist Samantha Nichols sat at her station, fingers moving rapidly across her console. I'm detecting transmissions from the alien vessel, she said. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's hear it, John ordered. The message played through the ship's speakers in perfect English, the voice unnaturally smooth and flat. People of Earth, we are the collective. Your existence has been noted. Prepare to receive our representatives. Admiral Laura Peterson's voice came through from Earth Command. Remember your orders, Commander. Establish peaceful contact if possible, but your priority is gathering intelligence. We need to know what we're facing. Understood, Admiral, John replied before addressing his crew. Everyone stay sharp. Samantha, keep all channels open. As the horizon approached, a section of the alien vessel opened, revealing a cavernous docking bay. The Earth ship looked tiny as it entered, like a rowboat beside an aircraft carrier. Once docked, John led a team of 5 onto the alien ship. Samantha accompanied him, along with Dr. Vincent Clark, their xenobiologist, and 2 security officers. The delegation was met by tall, humanoid figures with grayish skin that seemed to shimmer like metal in the strange light. Their faces were almost featureless, with small indentations where eyes should be. Welcome, humans, said the leader, its mouth not moving as the words echoed in their minds. We are pleased you have come willingly. We come seeking peaceful exchange between our peoples, John replied formally. The alien gestured them forward. Come, the council awaits. They were led through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. Samantha noticed panels of unusual technology lining the walls. While pretending to adjust her translation device, she activated a hidden scanner, capturing data about the ship's systems. The council chamber was vast, with 7 identical beings seated on elevated platforms. The atmosphere felt heavy with unspoken threat. Humanity has progressed more quickly than anticipated, announced the central figure. This is unfortunate. The galaxy operates under order. New species must be guided or removed. John felt a chill. We wish only to learn and coexist. There is no coexistence. There is only the collective or nothingness. The alien's telepathic voice hardened. You will submit to absorption, or your planet will be cleansed. You have 14 Earth days to prepare your population. As the humans were escorted back to their ship, Samantha whispered to John, I got something. Their systems have a vulnerability. Their shield technology operates on predictable frequencies. John kept his expression neutral. Good work. Don't say another word until we're home. On the return journey, the crew sat in stunned silence. Earth had 14 days to prepare for either surrender or extinction. But unknown to the collective, Samantha's stolen data held the key to a potential defense. As the horizon approached Earth, John prepared to deliver both the devastating ultimatum and the small spark of hope they had found. The war for humanity's survival had begun. Ambassador Daniel Frost adjusted his collar as the shuttle approached the meeting point. Hidden within the reins of a gas giant in neutral space, the location had been chosen for its obscurity. Earth was reaching out to other civilizations who might help them fight the collective. Nervous? Asked General Maria Rodriguez, who sat beside him. Daniel nodded. We've never even met these species before. Now we're asking them to join us in war against the most powerful force in the galaxy. We don't have much choice, Maria replied. 14 days isn't enough time to prepare Earth's defenses. Their shuttle docked with the space station, a structure that appeared cobbled together from different technologies. As they stepped through the airlock, Daniel was struck by the diversity of beings waiting in the chamber. 7 distinct alien species had answered Earth's desperate call. Some were humanoid, others entirely different in form. One appeared to be made of crystalline structures, while another looked like a mass of tentacles floating in a personal atmosphere bubble. A tall, blue-skinned being stepped forward. "I am Zarin of the Viridians," he said through a translation device. "We welcome Earth to this gathering of survivors." "Survivors?" Daniel asked. "Yes," Zarin replied. "Everyone here represents a civilization that has hidden from the collective. Some of us for centuries." Daniel and Maria were led to a circular table. As they took their seats, each representative introduced themselves. The Viridians, Nexeri, Kalans, Drell, Astromi, Vex, and Aranti. All had suffered from collective aggression. Zarin activated a holographic display showing galaxy maps. The collective has existed for thousands of years. They do not expand randomly. They target civilizations reaching specific technological thresholds. "They fear potential rivals," said Kel, "the tentacled Oranti. Their goal is not conquest, but elimination of threats." Daniel leaned forward, but Samantha Nichols, our communications specialist, discovered a weakness in their shield technology. "With your help, we might be able to exploit it." The representatives exchanged glances. The crystalline being, named Thrax of the Astromi, sparked with inner light as it spoke. "You don't understand. We have discovered weaknesses before. The collective adapts. They always win." "Not always," Maria countered. "You're all still here." "By hiding," said Mira of the Nexeri, her feathered crest flattening against her head. "Not by fighting." Daniel stood up. "Maybe that's been the problem. You've each fought alone, or not at all. What if we stand together?" The room fell silent. Finally, Zarin spoke. "Even united, our forces are insignificant compared to theirs." "But they don't expect us to fight," Daniel argued. "And they certainly don't expect us to fight together." He turned to the holographic display, pointing to the collective vessel orbiting Jupiter. "Their ultimatum gives us an advantage. They think we're preparing to surrender. Instead, we'll be preparing to strike." To Daniel's surprise, Kel moved its tentacles in what the translator identified as a gesture of agreement. "Humans think differently than any species we've encountered. You're unpredictable. The collective relies on patterns and probabilities," added Thrax. "Your species defies their models." Gradually, each representative began to share their species' technologies and knowledge about the collective. The Viridians had advanced cloaking systems. The Drell possessed weapons that could disrupt quantum communications. Each civilization offered something unique. As the meeting progressed into its 6th hour, a plan began to take shape. For the first time, a coalition would stand against the collective. And surprisingly, it would be humanity, the youngest, least advanced civilization present, leading the charge. When Daniel returned to Earth 3 days later, he brought with him representatives from all 7 species and a message of hope. They had 11 days to prepare for a battle that would determine the fate of not just humanity, but all free civilizations in the galaxy. Lieutenant Abigail Rivers crouched in the shadows of the alien corridor, her heart pounding against her ribs. The walls around her pulsed with an eerie blue light, casting strange patterns across her stealth suit. Behind her, 4 soldiers from her special operations team waited for her signal. "Collective patrol approaching," whispered Sergeant Frank Miller through their secure comlink. 3 units, standard formation." Abigail held up her hand, signaling the team to freeze. The quantum disruptors in her pack felt heavy against her back. These devices, developed by Dr. William Carter using a combination of Earth and Viridian technology, were their only hope of disabling the collective's communication network. "Remember," she said softly to her team, "we placed the disruptors at the junction points. No engagement unless absolutely necessary." The patrol passed by their hiding spot, never noticing the humans pressed against the wall. The collective guards moved with an unsettling synchronization, their metallic bodies reflecting the corridor's blue glow. Once the patrol turned the corner, Abigail motioned her team forward. They moved silently through the massive outpost, a station positioned at the edge of the solar system to monitor Earth's activities. According to their alien allies, this was one of 12 communication hubs linking the collective's forces. They reached the first junction point, a pulsing node where information streams converge. Private Lee unfolded a scanner, confirming they had the right location. "First position confirmed," he whispered. Abigail carefully attached the quantum disruptor to the node. The device, no larger than her palm, immediately began to sync with the collective systems, camouflaging itself as part of the infrastructure while preparing to send the disruptive pulse. "One down, 3 to go," she said. As they approached the second junction point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights replaced the blue, bathing the corridor in crimson. "They've detected us," said Sergeant Miller. "No," Abigail replied, studying her scanner. "It's something else. The alarm isn't centered on our position." They pressed forward cautiously until they reached a large chamber. Hiding behind a pillar, Abigail was shocked by what she saw. Dozens of alien beings, different from the metallic collective guards, were being herded into transport pods. These aliens looked organic, with various forms and features, but all bore expressions that Abigail recognized across species: fear and despair. "They're prisoners," whispered Private Lee. "No," Abigail realized, "they're slaves." The truth dawned on her. The collective wasn't a single species. It was an empire built on conquered races forced to serve their mysterious masters. A group of enslaved engineers worked nearby, separate from the others. They appeared to be maintaining critical systems, their movements suggesting they had more technical knowledge than the others. Abigail made a quick decision. Change of plans. "We're going to free those engineers." "Lieutenant, that wasn't in the mission brief," Miller objected. "They could provide valuable intelligence," she countered. "And we need all the help we can get." Using the confusion of the alarm, Abigail's team created a diversion by overloading a power conduit on the opposite side of the chamber. As the guards rushed to address the problem, they moved quickly to reach the engineers. "We're from Earth," Abigail explained to the startled aliens. "We're fighting the collective. Will you help us?" The lead engineer, a spindly being with 4 arms and large, intelligent eyes, studied her for a moment before nodding. "We are Araxians. Our world was taken 3 centuries ago. We will help." With the Araxians' assistance, Abigail's team not only placed all 4 quantum disruptors, but also gained critical intelligence about the collective's command structure. The engineers revealed that the entire empire was controlled from a central station, information that would prove vital to the coalition's strategy. As their extraction ship approached, Abigail knew they had accomplished far more than their original mission. They had found allies within the heart of the enemy. Dr. Lisa Montgomery hadn't slept in 3 days. Her lab at Earth Defense Headquarters buzzed with activity as scientists from 7 different species worked together on what might be humanity's last hope: the Nova Protocol. "The simulations are complete," announced Dr. Lisa, pushing her red hair back from her tired face. "The quantum entanglement field can disrupt their shields for exactly 8.7 seconds. Thrax, the crystalline astronomy scientist, glowed with blue light as it examined the data, but the energy requirements are enormous. No single vessel could generate such power." "That's why we're not using one vessel," Lisa replied. She pressed a button, displaying a holographic model of the weapon system. "We'll use 12, positioned in a precise formation. Each will generate part of the field, creating a tear in space-time that will temporarily neutralize their defensive capabilities." The alien scientists studied the design with expressions that Lisa had learned to recognize as amazement, despite their different facial structures. Zarin of the Viridians leaned forward. "This approach is unexpected. The collective will not have prepared for such a strategy." "That's the point," Lisa said. "They expect us to either surrender or fight conventionally. They don't understand how humans think." On the other side of the facility, General Richard Hayes stood before a three-dimensional map of the solar system. Representatives from the coalition forces gathered around him as he outlined the battle plan. "The fleet will assemble here, behind Saturn's moon Titan," he explained, pointing to the location. "Our Viridian allies will provide cloaking technology to mask our presence until we're ready to strike." The map zoomed out to show the collective's massive command vessel positioned near Jupiter. Intelligence gathered from the Oraxian engineers had confirmed this was the control ship for all collective forces in the sector. "We'll have one chance," Richard continued. "Once we deploy the Nova Protocol, our combat vessels will have 8.7 seconds to deliver their payloads directly to these key points." He highlighted several areas on the collective ship. Captain Ben Foster, commander of Earth's flagship UES Defiance, studied the targets. "Those points are heavily defended. Even with their shields down, getting through will be difficult. That's why each strike team will be led by our best pilots," Richard replied. "And why we've integrated Drell targeting systems into your ships." As the military briefing continued, a junior officer rushed in and whispered something to Richard. His expression darkened immediately. "The meeting is adjourned," he announced. "Command staff, remain behind." When only the highest-ranking officers remained, Richard activated a secure communication channel. The face of Lieutenant Abigail Rivers appeared on the screen. "Report, Lieutenant," he ordered. "Sir, we've intercepted collective communications," she said, her voice tense. "They're discussing the human resistance plan. They know we're preparing to fight." The room fell silent. Their entire strategy depended on surprise. "How much do they know?" Richard asked. "They mention a human weapon, but don't seem to have specifics," Abigail replied. "The communication was between their command ship and their homeworld. They're requesting reinforcements." Richard turned to the others. "We need to accelerate our timeline. If they bring in reinforcements, we won't stand a chance." "The Nova Protocol isn't ready," protested Lisa, who had joined the emergency meeting. "We need at least 3 more days for final calibrations." "We don't have 3 days," Richard responded grimly. "We launch tomorrow." As the command staff dispersed to prepare their forces, Lisa returned to her lab with renewed urgency. The coalition scientists worked through the night, making final adjustments to the weapon that would either save their civilizations or fail, leaving them all at the mercy of the collective. Outside, Earth's night sky filled with the lights of vessels from 7 alien races joining human ships in formation. By dawn, the largest fleet ever assembled in the solar system would begin its journey to what many feared would be their final battle. Admiral Gregory Patel stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching as the massive coalition fleet emerged from behind Saturn's rings. 217 ships from 7 different species, united against a common enemy. The sight would have been beautiful if it weren't so terrifying. "All vessels report ready, Admiral," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Diane Wells. Gregory nodded. "Signal the fleet. Operation Thunderbolt commences in 5 minutes." The plan was daring and desperate in equal measure. While the main fleet engaged the collective's outer defenses, 12 specially equipped ships would move into position to deploy the Nova Protocol. If successful, it would create a temporary tear in space-time, disabling the collective's shields and allowing strike teams to target critical systems. Viridian cloaking technology, disengaging in 3, 2, 1, reported the tactical officer. Across the fleet, ships shimmered into visibility as they dropped their cloaks. The element of surprise was gone, but they needed full power for the battle ahead. "Collective vessels responding," announced Diane. "They're launching interceptors." The void between Jupiter and Saturn erupted with weapons fire. Energy beams cut through space as the collective's forces moved to engage. The coalition fleet split into formation, each ship taking its assigned position. On the Defiance's main screen, Gregory watched as Commander Sofia Martinez, led the 12 Nova Protocol ships toward their deployment positions. Her vessel, the UES Valiant, was at the center of the formation. "The collective command ship is moving," reported Tactical. "They're positioning to block the Nova team." Gregory's jaw tightened. "Deploy Squadrons 3 and 4. Clear their path." Earth fighters, accompanied by the nimble Nexari interceptors, rushed forward to engage the collective vessels. The battle spread across an area larger than Earth itself, ships maneuvering at incredible speeds as they fought. "Nova team is in position," Diane reported, beginning protocol activation. The 12 ships formed a perfect dodecahedron around empty space. Energy began to flow between them, building in intensity until it formed a glowing web of light. "Energy buildup at 70%, Tactical reported. Collective forces converging on the Nova team." Gregory watched as Allied ships threw themselves into the path of the collective's vessels, sacrificing themselves to buy the Nova team precious seconds. "Energy at 90%, came the update. "But the collective command ship is preparing to fire their main weapon." The massive alien vessel's forward section began to glow with terrible light. Intelligence from the Araxian engineers had warned them of this, a weapon capable of collapsing stars. "They're targeting the Nova formation," Diane said, her voice tight with tension. Gregory opened a channel. "Commander Martinez, abort mission." "Repeat, abort." "No time." "Admiral," Sophia's calm voice replied. "Nova Protocol at 95%, but we need to get closer to their command ship for maximum effect." Before Gregory could respond, the Valiant broke formation and accelerated directly toward the collective vessel, trailing energy from the Nova Protocol like a comet's tail. "What is she doing?" someone on the bridge gasped. "The only thing she can," Gregory replied grimly. "Lieutenant Wells, order all strike teams to prepare. They'll only have 8.7 seconds when the protocol activates." On screen, the Valiant approached the collective command ship just as its weapon reached full charge. In a flash of inspiration and desperation, Sophia had realized the only way to ensure the protocol's success was to deliver it directly to the target. "All hands, brace for Nova activation," Gregory ordered. Space itself seemed to tear open as the Valiant collided with the collective vessel. A sphere of crackling energy expanded outward, temporarily disrupting the laws of physics within its radius. The collected shields flickered and died. "Strike teams, go," Gregory ordered. Coalition forces surged forward, targeting the vulnerable points identified by the Araxian engineers. For 8.7 seconds, the most powerful empire in the galaxy was exposed. In those brief moments, the future of humanity, and every free species in the galaxy, was decided. The stars seemed brighter as Admiral Gregory Patel stood by the large window in Earth's newly constructed Galactic Council chamber. 3 months had passed since the battle that changed the course of history. The collective's command structure had collapsed after Commander Sofia Martinez's sacrifice, leaving their vast empire in disarray. "It's time, Admiral," said Ambassador Daniel Frost, approaching with a data tablet. "The broadcast will reach every corner of known space." Gregory nodded, straightening his formal uniform. "Are all the Coalition representatives present?" "Yes," Daniel confirmed. "All 7 species, plus representatives from 12 formerly subjugated worlds." They walked together into the main chamber, where delegates from across the galaxy had gathered. The circular room featured a central platform surrounded by seating for all member species. Above, a massive holographic display showed the galaxy with thousands of inhabited systems highlighted. Gregory took his place at the center of the platform. As the highest-ranking military officer from the battle, he had been chosen to deliver humanity's message to the stars. The lights dimmed. A small red light indicated the broadcast had begun. "To all civilizations across the galaxy," Gregory began, his voice steady and clear. "I speak to you today on behalf of Earth and the newly formed Galactic Council. 3 months ago, the tyranny that called itself the Collective was defeated by an alliance of free worlds. The holographic display shifted to show footage from the battle, highlighting the Coalition's victory. For too long, advanced civilizations have lived in fear of extinction. For too long, developing worlds have been harvested or destroyed before reaching their potential. Today, we declare that era over. Gregory paused, looking around at the assembled delegates before continuing. The Galactic Council extends an invitation of membership to all peaceful civilizations. We offer protection, cooperation, and sharing of knowledge. But we also issue this warning. Aggression against any sentient species will no longer be tolerated. His voice hardened slightly. Earth and our allies stand ready to enforce this new era of peace. Those who would follow the collective's path of destruction will face the united might of the Council. As Gregory completed the formal address, the broadcast ended. The assembled delegates broke into applause, or their species' equivalent gestures of approval. Later that day, Dr. Kevin Phillips led a group of scientists through the ruins of what had once been the collective's homeworld. The Coalition fleet had traced the coordinates from data recovered after the battle. Remarkable, Kevin said, examining the ancient structures. These buildings are at least 50,000 years old. His team carefully documented everything they found. The planet had been abandoned long ago, but its archives remained, preserved by technology beyond their understanding. Dr. Phillips, you need to see this, called one of his assistants. In a sealed chamber deep below the surface, they discovered a historical record that changed their understanding of their former enemy. The collective had not begun as conquerors. They had once been victims themselves, transformed by an even older civilization that had altered their biology and psychology, turning them into perfect servants. When their masters mysteriously disappeared, the altered species continued their programming, subjugating others as they had been subjugated. The cycle of conquest had continued for millennia. Kevin reported his findings to the Council that evening. They were weapons, not villains, he explained, created by someone else and then abandoned. Does this mean there's something worse than the collective out there? Asked Zarin of the Viridians. Admiral Patel stepped forward. If there is, they'll find a different galaxy than the one they left. We stand united now. As the council session ended, Gregory returned to the window overlooking Earth. New ships from a dozen worlds orbited his home planet, symbols of their unprecedented alliance. Humanity had begun its journey to the stars facing extinction. Now they stood as guardians of a fragile peace, having earned their reputation as defenders that none should dare challenge. The warning had been delivered. The galaxy had heard. And somewhere in the vast darkness beyond, perhaps others were listening too. 5 years after the defeat of the collective, Earth had transformed. Once isolated in the galaxy, humans now walked among stars with confidence and purpose. The Galactic Council headquarters, a gleaming structure of crystal and metal, dominated the skyline of New Geneva, representing humanity's new role as peacekeepers. Dr. Lisa Montgomery stood on the observation deck of the research station orbiting Jupiter. Her work on the Nova Protocol had made her a legend, but she had refused political positions, preferring to continue her scientific research. The readings are getting stronger, she told her assistant, Paul Harris. Something is definitely happening at those coordinates. The research station had been monitoring unusual energy fluctuations from a region of space beyond the former collective territory. The pattern was unlike anything in their extensive database. Could it be natural? Paul asked, adjusting the sensors to get a clearer reading. Lisa shook her head. No natural phenomenon creates patterns this precise. And look at this frequency analysis. It's similar to the quantum signature we found in the collective's archive records. The communication panel chimed. Admiral Gregory Patel's face appeared on screen, now showing more gray in his hair than 5 years ago. Dr. Montgomery, your report came across my desk this morning, he said without preamble. Are you certain about these findings? As certain as I can be without direct observation, Lisa replied. Admiral, I believe these energy signatures match what the collective records described as their creator's technology. Gregory's expression remained neutral, But Lissa could see concern in his eyes. The Council is sending an exploration team. The UES Discovery will depart tomorrow. I want you on it. The next day, Lisa boarded the sleek exploration vessel. Captain Olivia Reeves, one of the heroes from the Collective War, welcomed her aboard. Dr. Montgomery, it's an honor, Olivia said. My science team is excited to work with you. The journey took 3 weeks, even with the advanced drive systems developed through the Coalition's shared technology. As they approached the coordinates, the entire crew felt the tension building. Energy readings are off the charts, reported Science Officer Warren Reed. There's definitely something massive out there. Olivia ordered the ship to drop out of faster-than-light travel at a safe distance. The main view screen activated, showing what appeared to be an enormous structure floating in space. Is that a gateway? Lisa whispered. The structure was circular, spanning several kilometers in diameter. Energy pulsed around its rim in a pattern that matched their sensor readings exactly. We're receiving a transmission, said Communications Officer Elena Chen. It's coming from the structure. The message played through the ship's speakers, the language unlike any they had encountered before. Yet somehow, everyone understood the meaning, as if the words bypassed their ears and went directly into their minds. The test is complete. The subjects have exceeded parameters. Integration protocol initiated. Lisa and the crew watched in astonishment as the gateway began to activate, its center filling with swirling energy. Captain, we should retreat to a safer distance, Warren suggested. Before Olivia could respond, the ship's systems detected multiple objects emerging from the gateway. Not ships, but spheres of pure energy that moved with clear purpose and intelligence. They're scanning us, Elena reported, her voice tight with tension. One of the spheres approached the Discovery, hovering just outside the main viewport. It pulsed once, twice, and then projected an image, a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy with thousands of similar gateways highlighted throughout, all inactive until now. Lisa understood immediately. They weren't just testing the collective, she said. They were testing all of us, how we would respond to aggression, whether we would unite or fall. And we passed, Olivia finished the thought. The sphere pulsed again, and a new message formed in their minds. Prepare your council. The progenitors return. The true galaxy awaits. As the Discovery raced back to Earth with its incredible news, Lisa knew that humanity's journey among the stars had only just begun. The warning they had issued to the galaxy would soon be tested in ways they could never have imagined.